Hey, listen, I've been asked to do a little bit of a training video for all of you leaders. First of all, before I go any further, let me tell you how grateful I am that you'd even step into that kind of an arena, and especially to work with people, which is what we're all about. My topic today is being asked about storing, or orality, or storytelling. All words that, frankly, I do not like, but I'll go with storing as the best of what I do not like, and explain to you what I am talking about, why we do it, and maybe some misconceptions about it and how we do it. So basically what we did is when we adopted storing, we adopted an approach to Scripture that we felt would be most true to Scripture, to be able to mine the truths out of there without compromising the integrity of people or not being able to listen to their hearts. So the difference would be that in a normal Bible study that I would lead 20 years ago, I would come to a study, you would come into my group, and I would talk at you and give you my ideas of what I think the Scripture said from my perspective. Storing is totally different. Storing basically takes Scripture in context. If you want an official definition, it's a sequential approach to really understanding Scripture without violating the context or violating the text. So how it works is something like this. If I'm going into a passage, say like the prodigal son, I'll normally transition into the passage in Luke 15 with a statement that might last 1 or 2 minutes about how we got to Luke 15. If we're going through the entire book, I'll just bring us up to speed. If we're just taking that passage, I'll set the context. And in the second part of it, I will story. The story part of it is simply me putting that text in my own words. I'll have the Bible on my lap, usually closed, and say, for a moment, let me have you listen with your ears. And I will share the story as I would share it around a campfire, trying to remember the best as I could. In fact, I will have prepared for that and tried not to memorize it, but to get into my heart. Once I'm done, and that should take about 3 minutes, I'll say, let's rebuild the story. And in the rebuilding of the story, which is another facet of what we're doing in this approach, I'm simply going to say, now let's look with our eyes and learn with our eyes what is here in the text, because I probably missed some stuff in telling the story. There's 2 ways you can rebuild. One is you can go back through and say, let's look at where the story starts. And for example, in the prodigal son, I'll say, where does it start? And someone makes a comment, and I'll say, what happened next? What happened next? And people are basically reading the text or putting in their own words, but they have to read the text to put in their own words. Or you can simply read the text. And I encourage maybe 1, 2, or 3 people to read it, volunteers, and we go through it. That again should take about 3 minutes. So the very first part of the study, transition, the storing, and the rebuilding, takes about maybe 8 minutes with the prodigal son at the most, maybe even 7. Once we're done with that, then we move into a time of discussing the passage. Just like you would at the end of the study, except our questions are different. Our questions are ones that are meant to bring out discussion and bring out the heart. So basically that's storing. And when it comes down to it, again, you can call it storytelling, orality, all kinds of things. I don't like any of those names, frankly. What I like about it is that it's an approach to Scripture that, for me, keeps the integrity of Scripture intact. It allows people to mine the truths of Scripture without one person dominating, and it ends with practical application that the Spirit is laying on people's hearts versus they're being force-fed to do. Thanks very much. Keep going after, guys, and may your story be glorifying to Him.